Is Trump's tax legislation a temporary cure with a costly future? Key points. Treasury yields increase as financial stability concerns grow. The new tax legislation is expected to decrease tax revenue by $4.5 trillion over 10 years, anticipated to enhance corporate profits and elevate stock market values. President Donald Trump's recently passed tax cut and spending package had Congress approval last Thursday, sparing the immediate danger of a U.S. government default, but simultaneously intensifying the nation's long-term fiscal predicaments. Republican representatives in the House of Representatives passed legislation extending Trump's 2017 tax cuts, providing more funds for both border security and military spending, enacting large cuts to Medicare and Medicaid, and, by doing so, multiplying the national debt by trillions. President Trump is anticipated to sign this bill into law. But here's where it gets controversial. As part of the new tax plan, policymakers agreed to increase the U.S. government's borrowing ceiling, expected to reach by summer from $36.1 trillion to $41.1 trillion. This move temporarily alleviates fears of a U.S. debt default, a scenario with potentially severe global economic impacts. And this is the part most people miss. Though reducing the chance of an imminent default, the bill is generally viewed as detrimental to the bond market and the nation's long-term financial health. Nonpartisan experts believe it will add an additional $3.4 trillion to the national debt over the coming decade. The bill exacerbates concerns about Treasury bonds due to ongoing fiscal deficits and high debt levels, as well as inflation, explained Mike Medeiros, a macro strategist at Wellington Management. Think about it. BlackRock has pointed out the waning interest from foreign investors in American debt. There's a genuine risk that the $500 billion in weekly debt issued by the U.S. could face dwindling demand, potentially escalating borrowing costs. The new tax framework is anticipated to reduce tax revenues by $4.5 trillion and cut government spending by $1.2 trillion, according to the Congressional Budget Office, along with the unsettling forecast of 10.9 million people losing their federal health coverage within the next decade. However, the legislation aims to spur economic growth by permitting corporations to fully deduct equipment purchases and research costs, alongside other tax incentives. Is this bill really a one big beautiful bill, or does it risk overshadowing the economic gains by creating a debt burden? Some investors recognize that higher levels of debt could eventually limit the positive economic momentum the bill promises. Is this a fair price to pay for economic stimulation and corporate profit rise? Or is the risk of climbing Treasury rates and higher borrowing costs too heavy on the scales for long-term financial health? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments.